Hi, Hamilton families. I have another book for you, Humphrey the Lost Whale. This happens to be a true story. At the end, there are some resources that have pictures, or I should say videos, of Humphrey that was lost in the San Francisco Bay Area in the 1980s. Also has a video of some humpback whales that came back, I believe, in early 2000. And then also a resource that has a mother and a calf and what they sound like underneath water and the songs that they sing. So this is San Francisco Bay Area. It's showing you how Humphrey came in. So here is the Golden Gate Bridge, San Francisco right here, and how Humphrey made his way into the Bay Area. Again, it is a true story. Have you guys gone whale watching? Anybody go whale watching? Always a wonderful experience. So we're going to start with Humphrey the Lost Whale. True story. Our story begins on a sunny day far out at sea. A pod of humpback whales was traveling south together for the winter. Humpback whales are magnificent creatures that sing beautiful songs to each other underwater. In the whole world, there are very few of them, so each one is quite special. They are intelligent. Every winter, they travel south. Every summer, they head north, and they always know the way. Amazing that they know their way, huh, when they migrate. But even whales can make mistakes. One whale named Humphrey made a big one. He turned away from his friends and wandered under the Golden Gate Bridge into San Francisco Bay. Imagine that, wandering under the Golden Gate Bridge. Everyone was surprised to see Humphrey in the bay. People don't get to see humpback whales very often because they usually stay in very deep waters. It was a special treat to see one so close to the city of San Francisco. Humphrey was a spectacular sight, as long as a city bus and as big as 7 elephants put together. He would come up to breathe, appearing as if by magic, and people would stop whatever they were doing to watch him. Then Humphrey did something that no whale had ever done. Instead of swimming back out to sea, he went the wrong way, up the Sacramento River. The big river became smaller and smaller as Humphrey traveled upstream. He was looking for the ocean, but it was clear Humphrey was lost. How sad. He's looking for the Pacific Ocean, and he ends up going up the Sacramento River. We'll have to look that up on the Google. Hundreds of people came to see Humphrey in the river. They would stare out at the water, waiting for him to come up for air. Then a big swoosh with his giant back would appear. And someone would shout, "There he is!" He was an amazing sight. But something was wrong. Whales are supposed to live in the salt water in the ocean, not in the fresh water of rivers. A whale would die if it stayed in fresh water too long. Humphrey was in trouble. So he was in the Pacific Ocean where there's salt water, and then he's going up the Sacramento River where there's fresh water. People are worried now, huh? Everyone knew that Humphrey had to be turned back toward the ocean, but no one knew how to do that. After all, something like this had never happened before. The farther Humphrey went, the more worried people became. They wondered whether he was getting anything to eat, whether he was getting sick, or whether he would beach himself in the river. One day, Humphrey squeezed under a tiny bridge. It was so small no one could understand how he had done it. Now he was really in trouble. He was trapped. How did he get through that small bridge? That's amazing. Amazing. What are the people going to do? Any ideas? Let's see what they're going to do. The river beyond the bridge was very shallow and narrow. It was so small Humphrey could hardly turn around. There he was, a whale, stuck in a tiny stream, right in the middle of a farm field. It was hard to believe. Something had to be done to get him out of these fast. Humphrey looked sick. The scientists knew he would die if he didn't get back to the ocean. Time was running out. What are they going to do? Do you have some ideas? What would you do? Whale's stuck, went up this river, got through this bridge, he's on farm field. Any ideas? The people trying to save Humphrey would have to move fast. The scientists, the Coast Guard officers, and many others got together to work out a plan to save him. They decided to bang long pipes together underwater and scare him back down the river. At the same time, they would play a recording that would broadcast underwater the sounds of whales eating. Maybe Humphrey would be so happy and lonely, he would swim toward the sound. Isn't that amazing? They took these long pipes, banged them underwater, and then they played recordings of whales eating to get him back. Do you think it's going to work? Let's see. It worked! It did. It worked. Humphrey turned around and started swimming back down the river. Everyone was relieved, but the danger wasn't over yet. When Humphrey arrived at the little bridge, he stopped. Remember that little bridge that he went through? Oh, what's he going to do? He was afraid to go under it. He couldn't find space big enough to go through. Oh, no. People kept banging the pipes. Humphrey seemed flustered. I'd seem flustered, too. Would you seem flustered? I'd seem flustered. What would he do? As the pipes kept clanging, Humphrey became angry. Hello, stop banging the pipes at me. I don't know what I'm going to do. That's what I would be saying, at least. He rolled from side to side and thrashed his great tail. People stopped banging the pipes. He's like, hey, what am I going to do? I got through this bridge. I don't know how to go back. Yeah, what are they going to do? But Humphrey's friends wouldn't give up. They knew they had to get him past the little bridge. If they didn't, he would die in the river. The people trying to save him decided to make the space under the bridge bigger. They brought in a huge crane and worked through the night to clear away some of the old pilings. Wow, that's a great idea, huh? Make that bridge bigger for that huge whale. Can you imagine? What did we say that whale was? 7 elephants and a huge bus. As long as a city bus and as big as 7 elephants put together. And they were taking the pilings from that bridge to help out their friend Humphrey. Would Humphrey notice the difference? The next day, the people began banging the pipes together again. Clang, clang! The boats moved closer to Humphrey to urge him on toward the bridge. This was his last chance. Everyone watched nervously. Oh, is he going to notice a difference? What do you think? Is he going to notice it? I hope so. Do you hope so? Oh, I do. Let's see if we get Humphrey out. Humphrey bravely approached the bridge, but as he tried to swim under it, his head became lodged between the pilings. He frantically bobbed his head up and down and thrashed his tail to free himself. Oh my gosh, he's in such a trap. It was a terrible moment. The people trying to save Humphrey thought it might be the end. Humphrey was stuck. I'd be stuck too. Suddenly, Humphrey lifted one fin way out of the water, almost touching the bridge. As he twisted his body, he broke free from the pilings and swam through the other side. Oh, I can't imagine that. Look at that. Look at how he twisted his body. And he was able to get through those pilings. Whales are smart. I'll tell you that. Whales are smart. There was a shout from the banks of the river, then another and another until everyone was cheering, "Hooray for Humphrey!" They shouted. He made it. Humphrey, the lost whale, was finally on his way home. Can you imagine? Wow. I'm so glad he's on his way home. A whole float of boats and the clanging of pipes behind him helped Humphrey find his way down the river. Remember, he was on the Sacramento River. So he still has to get to where? Oh, the San Francisco Bay. That's right. Finally, Humphrey arrived at the San Francisco Bay. Look at all those people. He went to the Sacramento River, got through the bridge, and now he's going to the San Francisco Bay. Humphrey spent one whole day happily swimming around. He doesn't even go back to the ocean. He's sitting there swimming around in the bay. Humphrey spent one whole day happily swimming around the bay. He did tricks for the people gathered along the shore to see him one last time. They oohed when he slapped his tail. They awed when he leaped into the air. That's called breaching. And the belly flopped back into the water. Humphrey seemed to be saying goodbye and thank you to all his friends who had helped save his life. Wow, isn't that great? He doesn't even go back to the ocean. He spends a whole day entertaining his friends who saved him. That's great. The people who had helped rescue Humphrey also felt grateful. Humphrey had taught them a lot about humpback whales. He had also become a good friend. Many times during his ordeal, Humphrey could simply flick his tail and overturn boats, carrying the people who were trying to help him. But he never did. He seemed to understand that they were his friends. Finally, in the late afternoon fog, Humphrey swam under the Golden Gate Bridge and back out to sea. Humphrey the whale had made it. He was finally home. Then at the end of the book, it says notes about Humphrey. Humphrey the whale entered San Francisco Bay for the first time on October 10th, 1985. For 26 days, this 45-foot long, 40-ton giant captured the hearts of people everywhere as he tried to find his way back to the Pacific Ocean. After Humphrey was rescued in 1985, he continued to visit the Bay Area during his annual migrations. So annual, every year he would come back to that San Francisco Bay Area. He was spotted near the islands in 1986 and again inside Badagoa Bay in 1988. Scientists were able to identify him by the distinctive markings on his dorsal fin and tail flukes. Then early on the morning of October 22nd, 1990, so 5 years later, people noticed a humpback whale beached on the mud in the shallow waters near Candlestick Park in San Francisco Bay. Later, scientists confirmed that it was our old friend Humphrey in trouble again. For 3 days, rescuers from the Marine Mammal Center and the U.S. Coast Guard tried to free Humphrey from the mud. Finally, on the second day, they pumped air under him at high tide and towed him into deeper waters. Humphrey swam around San Francisco Bay for one more day before heading out to the Pacific Ocean under the Golden Gate Bridge. Free once again. Humphrey, I think, made some friends in San Francisco. What do you guys think? Think he made some friends? So again, check out those resources. That's amazing. It's like he just kind of knew. He came back 5 years later and he spends a whole day again entertaining people. So check out the resources, the sounds that they make underwater, the actual video. You can see him there in 1985 when he was there, and then also some other whales that made their way into the Bay Area. Have a great day.